spending my first few weeks of unemployment pretty much just, no, not that, Brendan.
I think I've played 4 or 5 lives playing with either Gary or Gary and Jordan, and only once have I been killed by an enemy.
I've applied to many games companies using this as my one of my top things that I do outside of work.
Well, that's probably why you're not getting a job.
Hello, podcast listeners. Welcome and thank you for joining us. You're listening to the Video Game Chat Podcast, a fortnightly podcast talking about games, tech, and other nerdy goodness. I'm Geordie, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Rob.
Hello.
Gary.
Hello.
And Brendan.
I just heard a
I think Brendan got a text.
That's me. Apologise.
Oh, Geordie, you made me slander Brendan.
You fucked it all.
Yeah. We hope you enjoy this podcast, and if you want to join in, ask questions or suggest other topics, we have a new Discord where you can chat about games and news with our awesome community. You can also follow us and message us on Twitter at VGC_podcast. So guys, how have we all been doing since the last episode?
Yeah, not bad. Been working my little arse off. Had plenty of work come in this month, which is good after 3 months of absolutely nothing. So I'm feeling good.
Good stuff.
I'm gonna second Rob on that. I've been very busy at work. It's all picking up. It's kind of usually the time at my work where everything starts getting very busy. So I'm glad that the pandemic hasn't eased that up, which is nice and reassuring on my side. So yeah, been busy. Haven't had a chance to stream much because I'm just so tired at the moment. But on a positive note, at least work is going well.
Cool. Brendan, what about you?
I am still very much in employment, none of which I can tell you about because it is highly confidential.
I've also been to Donegal, you jammy son of a bitch. I love it there.
Yes, the crown jewel on the island of Ireland, the best county.
It's just gorgeous country.
Why don't you describe it a little bit for our listeners who may have never even stepped foot in Ireland?
Donegal, well, the context of it is Northern Ireland has a public holiday on the 12th of July every year to commemorate the glorious revolution of King William of Orange arriving to subjugate the Irish natives. And after his successful conquering and defeat of the Irish at the Battle of Aughrim and Boyne, a long tradition has been held by the loyalist British community to celebrate that with bonfires and marching. And in order to get away from that, a lot of Irish Catholics will go on what's called the Grand Exodus to the glorious county of Donegal, just across the border in the Republic of Ireland. And Donegal runs along the Atlantic Peninsula on the northwest coast of Ireland. It boasts the most northerly part of Ireland in Malin Head. It boasts some mighty fucking beautiful mountain ranges. It has lakes. It's got Glenveigh National Park. It boasts the landscape of Connemara, which is a blasted wasteland on which no trees will ever grow, but it's just fucking beautiful anyway.
Just sounds like Fallout 76.
It's got beaches like you wouldn't believe, and none of you are welcome because I know like fucking most of you are going to be English listening to this, and don't fucking come over here with your fucking mobile home and fucking caravan and set up around here and litter and shit. Just fuck off, alright?
Wow. Okay, yeah. So I guess that means us three uninvited.
Do we get uninvited if we've already been?
Yeah, don't come back.
Oh, but I like it. It's really nice.
It's bad enough when the Irish are all down for the 12th.
Brilliant. Well, I've not done much. I'm spending my first few weeks of unemployment pretty much just... Yeah, no, not that, Brendan.
So yeah,
but yeah he has set up an OnlyFans already, and I've subscribed.
I've been applying for
subscribed
jobs
immediately
and getting only declines. I had one job come to me and say, "Yep, we want you for this job," and I was like, "Cool, yep." Gave them all my details, and they went, "Oh, have you got a driver's license?" And then they went, "Oh, we need you to have a driver's license." I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake." So give me a right kick up the arse to actually go and start driving again. So hopefully I'll be starting to do that, which would be nice. But what have you all been playing this week? Have you all been picking up any new games or I know that all of us picked up Tarkov, and we've all been playing that.
Well, you say all been playing. I mean, we have, yes, technically all been playing, but a certain individual who shall remain nameless, of course, for confidentiality and just to make sure we don't besmirch their name through the mud, doesn't enjoy it, or at least doesn't enjoy playing it with the rest of us.
I'm gonna go take a shit.
It'll be more useful from those two playing with me and fucking Tarkov, Brenton, that's for sure. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I think I've 4 or 5 lives playing with either Gary or Gary and Jordan, and only once have I been killed by an enemy. That's all we'll go into it.
To explain the background on this, the mechanic of Tarkov is that you can select a series of maps within which there's basically a sandbox with loot that spawns in it. You spawn in, you can collect loot, and you can arm yourself with some basic weapons and things like that. And when you collect your loot, you then have to extract from specific points. And if you don't make it safely there and someone kills you, they can take all your loot and you lose everything that you've gathered. And it's like high stakes. And yeah, it means that if you die, there's a heavy loss to bear.
It's like a session-based DayZ without the zombies.
And the reason why Rob was subject to both myself and Geordie team killing him is because there is no outline on characters' bodies, or you don't see a highlight over their heads. So you don't know who's who, and you have to communicate. So that is mistakes were made. And
that's a very TLDR way of describing how Tarkov has gone.
If we had to explain all the games, it would just be...
Yeah, that would be a podcast in itself, and it would just be peaking the whole way through my side of the conversation.
Yes, it would. The problem with describing it is, like Jody said, it would take a whole session, and also we would get very heated, because it got very heated because of how it transpired. So I would prefer to leave that off the podcast and leave it on the salty side of gaming, which you probably are not subject to see unless we're streaming.
Yeah, I'm, needless to say, just to wrap it up, I'm not feeling like playing Tarkov again anytime soon.
I also feel like if you are in a situation and you do split up to try and get better angles, it's probably not the best idea to do that. You're probably best to all group up in one position and only split up when it needs be, like if there's a fucking grenade being thrown at you.
I could just hear Fenton,
because if you don't, you're going to be talking about it for like a fucking week after. It's going to come up.
You might end up shooting someone in the back.
Anyway, to wrap this up,
don't retaliate and shoot your teammates in response either.
I don't know who you're talking about in that one. That could be anybody.
Yeah, let's stop talking about Tarkov.
You are wrong.
Never mind. No, I'm dropping it.
You said I only took one bullet. That's all you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Solo play is a lot easier than...
I probably will enjoy it if I give it a bit more time. And... yes, probably. Anyway, I have been playing a lot of Skyrim and Fallout 4 in VR. I downloaded a couple of massive VR essential mod lists that actually make it a bit more immersive, run a bit better, and add more content and things, and just generally make it worth playing. Skyrim's actually been like really quite immersive. I'm really enjoying it. Like, obviously, there's a few things that don't work in it. Like, you kind of want to be able to like grab props like with your hands on the index controllers, but it's still just A. So it's not perfect, but as far as a massive open world RPG in VR goes, Skyrim is really solid, and it's actually it's actually really quite impressive playing it again, but in VR, like being actually in the world and feeling like the scale of everything as well. Like, it's really interesting and just really good fun. It's definitely worth a go, especially if you find it on sale.
I think Skyrim's probably kind of better for the tactile element because you have more swords and more sword play, whereas Fallout's just guns usually.
Yep.
Unless you decide to go fully melee. But yeah, I can see Skyrim being better. And on your recommendation, provided I download 80 gigabytes worth of mods.
Yeah, I know, it's fucking ridiculous.
I bought it, I haven't played it, but yeah, 80 gig of mods at the moment is my... the only reason I haven't downloaded it and tested it out, because if I'm going to do it, I'm going to have to put it on my SSD, and I don't have that much space.
Oof. Yeah, it is a hefty list of mods that it adds. It's not all just like patches and tweaks, but there is a lot of massive content mods and things in there as well. So, you are getting a lot more game in your game. So it's, it's quite worth it. I was also gifted for my birthday Command & Conquer Remastered and XO. It's sort of an evolution of FTL. It's like a live-action FTL where you're fleet building as well. Rather than just in control of one ship, you are in control of a fleet. I'm really enjoying it. It's still in early access, so there's a long way to go. You start off as somebody that's promoted to captain of a new ship on super short notice, and midway through, just a general mission that's got a bit of an air of something's wrong. The Navy's, your previous captain sent off to go empty out a space station of staff and then destroy it. You're not told why. And then after a few missions of resupply and picking up another crew and another ship, a whole bunch of unknown alien enemies called the Harvesters enter the system. And as soon as they're in, they just start spreading. Like the galaxy map thing is sort of like the sectors in FTL, but each system has like a circle that the Harvesters are in, and that will just grow and expand. And when it hits another system, then the Harvesters are in that system, and that's now got a circle that grows and expands. So you're just constantly on the run. But yeah, I was just trying to hoard this ragtag group of different factions, vessels and things, trying to just escape this fleet that was constantly overlapping me while I was trying to run. And it did sort of hit that Battlestar Galactica point of I was too busy checking out some objectives on the map. There were multiple space stations and other ships kicking about, and while I was in combat with some pirates, the Harvesters jumped in right on top of me, and before I could even charge my jump drives, they were just half... I was down, like half the fleet was just gone. I was down to like 2 or 3 ships, the heavier ones left. All the civilian ones just died. It was awful. It was like Admiral, Adama's just worst case scenario of any jump happening in that show. So yeah, I do quite recommend it, keeping an eye on it at least. It was quite cheap, which is why I also ended up with Command & Conquer Remastered as well. So yeah, which I'm yet to play because I've been smashing through work. But yeah, if I've got a bit of free time next week, I'm going to sit down and relive some of my 90s glory days, my early days of PC gaming, by jumping back into Command & Conquer Red Alert 2. So yeah, thank you very much, Siri. Yeah, also picked up Hell Let Loose, which has just had a fairly substantial update. They've just added Carentan. And yeah, picked that up on Elliot's recommendation and played a good few hours with him the other night. Really enjoying it. It's really good fun. It's
shout out to Elliot.
Yeah, shout out to Elliot. Thank you very much for that recommendation, buddy. But yeah, it's sort of a bit more of a realistic thing. From what I gathered of like older trailers and a lot of people selling it, it was quite arcadey, but it's not. It's a bit more. It's a bit more of a realistic shooter than, say, Battlefield, but it still has that sort of element of capture and conquest and sticking together with your squad and things. And yeah, I definitely recommend it, especially if you get on like CD keys or something, where it was 11 quid as opposed to 20 or whatever it is on Steam. But yeah, it's good fun.
Just to point out, we are not sponsored by CD keys. Not yet.
Or anyone for that matter.
Or anyone.
We are fond users of their service, but not sponsored.
Brendan, what about you?
I have been playing a truly remarkable game called Gris that I picked up on a whim during the sale because it was only like 4 quid. And I kind of got from the vibe of just the art on it that it was going to be something different. It is a puzzle platformer. Fundamentally, that is what the gameplay is. The storyline itself features a young woman who is basically like the theme of this is that it is someone going through grief and dealing with grief and trying to restore their own inner strength. So you will find yourself falling and weak into a black and white world. And from there, you will begin to introduce more color back into the world. It has a fucking amazing art style to it. Everything is like a hand-painted watercolor painting. Every frame of it. If you stop at any point in the game and take a screenshot, it is a bloody work of art. And as you move through the game, there's a stunning soundtrack to it. The music is done by a group called the Berlinists, and it's just fucking incredible. And you move through trying to regain power, so you unlock abilities for certain situations. So as you move through this world, your grief manifests itself in this form of black crows, like a flock of black crows that then form larger shapes. So there's an instance where you regain the ability during a sequence called Perseverance, where you can turn yourself, your cloak turns into a block, so you can weigh yourself down. So when this bird squawks at you and causes sort of a gale force wind, you can then become this block and keep moving against it, and then later use the wind to traverse yourself across platforms and things like that. So it all sort of, the theme of it plays back in on itself and how it informs the gameplay style. And it's just fucking, like, as you get towards the end, there's so much more color to it. There's a lot of depth to the gameplay. The level design is just bloody beautiful. It is, some of it is very clever. And towards the end, there are sequences where you work through suspended water whilst platforming, and then a mirror world where you will have gravity reversed if you cross a certain line in the map. It's truly inventive from start to finish. The thing lasted about 3 hours, and it was just fucking incredible, and I will probably replay it about 100 times.
Oh, fantastic. I'll check that out.
The other one I've been playing is The Return of the Obra Dinn, which has been sitting on like the fucking Steam front page for ages now for me, and I keep seeing like overwhelmingly positive reviews for it. And I didn't really know why, because from the screenshots of it, it looked very simplistic. But the game itself is a detective game where there's a bit of a twist in it. The art style of this one is another unique one, where it is done in the style of like, I think it's like the old Macintosh computers. Like it's green dots on a black background that form the image, but it's a full first-person 3D world. So again, it's that sort of thing. If you stop at any point in it, it looks like a screenshot from a much older game, a static screenshot, but fully 3D world in this very unique art style. And the whole twist on it is that you have boarded this empty vessel and you need to find out what happened to it. And as you find corpses, you can use a kind of watch that brings you back to the moment in which that person died. So you can then explore the area around and understand the circumstances of their death and basically piece together bit by bit, not just from, reverse engineering, but random points throughout this story, what happened to this ship and its crew. So it's very fucking clever, really interesting.
I've had my eye on both Gris and Return of the Obra Dinn even before they were released, but purely from a graphic design point of view. I think that the art style of both games are absolutely stunning and very unique. Not seen anything quite like that before.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, despite wanting to play them, I haven't. So would you recommend checking them out?
100%. Well, Return of the Obra Dinn's not quite my sort of game. I find it a bit of a chore, just going through everything and basically patching the story together. I think if you're into like puzzling detective games, because there's things like, the old Cthulhu game, Penumbra and things like that, they get a lot of that sort of gameplay, and it nourishes that very well. So I think if that's the sort of itch you like having scratched, that does it perfectly. Gris, I would prioritize just because it was just fucking incredible. Just fucking unbelievable. And even though I've now completed it and I'm restraining myself from just replaying it every other day, I will regularly just stick the soundtrack on Spotify because it's great.
I'll see if I can pick them up at some point when I'm not playing my entire backlog of fucking hundreds of games. But yeah, I've been wanting to play them for a very long time. I'm glad that you are enjoying them as well.
I saw you picked up Highlanders or Islanders even.
Islanders, yeah. It's it was a cute little minimalist city builder, they call it, and I got it. It's only on Steam now for £4.79, which I would still say is it's good for that price. It's cheap, but I got it on sale for like £1 something, like £1.60 or 70 or something like that, and it is a very, very comfy city builder, and the art style is really cool. Like I like the minimalist style. It looks a little bit like a mobile game in some respects, but I don't mind that because I would actually like to see if this is on mobile, because it is one of those games which would work really well as a mobile game, but it also works really well as a desktop game. And the art style is like I said, it's great, and it's not as basic as you would think in terms of gameplay. You basically, each kind of round, you have like a certain set number of points that you need to meet. And if you meet those points, you get another set of building items. So every round you get more points that you have to reach, and you get more buildings to try and reach that. And the positioning of each of the buildings dictates how many points you get. So you can get like quite a lot of synergies of different buildings working well with others, and it's not easy. I would say it's not hard, but it's not an easy game. I think it's one of those ones where it's easy to pick up and hard to master. But I'm loving it, absolutely loving it. I've already sunk 3 hours into it, which for me, just like a pick up and play kind of game is for me. I would say that's pretty good, considering that I spent a long time playing through Sonic Mania, and that was like 8 or 9 hours, and I've already got 3 in this, and I've only had it less than a week.
Yeah,
so I'm enjoying it a lot, and it's one that I would like to. I think it would be very, very good to stream with, because you can just chat with your viewers, and you can play along, and it's like a nice calming one. It'd be like a chill stream instead of watching like 3 or 4 white guys scream at Tarkov.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. If I stream it, I'll let you guys know, and you can check it out if you think it's your kind of game. I've
picked up, or not picked up, I've got back into Sea of Thieves after I think Sea of Thieves what must have come out a good year and a half ago now, or maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's a while.
But yeah, there's been quite a few considerable updates since I last played. A whole new area of different islands, different sort of traders and vendors and stuff like that. New currencies and stuff like that. And yeah, it's fucking awesome. Still a really cool little game. I love the sort of AI battles that you get randomly when you're at sea. And they also have like an arena mode now, so you can actually go in and do like a arena-based PvP rather than just sort of the PvE, PvP stuff that actually just was on Sea of Thieves. So, but yeah, it's all one of those things that you sort of you grind and go onto islands, pick up treasure, sell them to the areas that you need to sell them to, and it's just good fun. Like we had a couple of sessions where we did like a big fortress raid, and then we were getting chased by a couple of smaller sloop ships that were all trying to basically rob us before we handed everything all in. But lucky enough, we sort of outrun them by quite a large amount. They were still following us, but we thought, fuck it, we're just going to park up on this island and try and sell everything to get our money for it. And as they came to like try and steal all our stuff, they parked their boat literally up on side of ours, like, or I was facing sideways, and they came head on and faced towards us. And I was like, this is brilliant. Like, they've just faced directly towards our cannons. So we just pummeled them with cannons until their boat sunk, and they didn't manage to steal any of our stuff. So it's stuff like that you get a big kick out of it, and it's quite a fun sort of cel-shaded, very, very pretty game as well for like for what it is.
Yeah, I'll get it reinstalled because I really enjoyed it. It's just, nobody really got it and I picked it up. So Need to get back into it, really.
Yeah, if you haven't got
Rob
it, it's only £1 on the Game Pass if you've don't want to spend 50 quid on it, basically.
And also, if you haven't used the Game Pass before, otherwise it's £3.
Or $3.99 or something, if not, yeah.
Yeah. Rob and I actually played that in closed
beta.
beta.
Yeah, we played the absolute shit out of it in closed beta.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We did two back-to-back weekends of like 5-hour streams of us.
Yeah, in full
all
pirate
doing
voice.
Pirate voice, which kind of turned a
voice.
little bit Irish towards not even that far in, actually. Probably like 10 minutes in, we started becoming Irish. But it was very fun. Are those still up on your channel, Rob?
I think so, yeah. Just
That's
VODs.
fun.
I'll have to go back and check those out. That'd be quite funny to watch.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was great fun, that.
Oh, it was,
But
yeah, definitely going to pick that up again.
I think I was weighing up getting that over another game, and unfortunately the other game...
Yeah, you went with the other game. I think it was FarCry, wasn't it?
Oh, I think it was
Was it?
Far Cry.
Yeah.
I think it was. Because...
Which,
You know,
to be fair, was a good choice. We did smash that too.
Yeah, we did. And I think actually the reason why I didn't pick it to begin with was because in the early days there wasn't much replayability. Like you get a couple of chests, but that's about it. Whereas now it seems like maybe 2 years on, there's a lot more content, which actually
There's like 4 different bosses now in Sea of Thieves. You got the Kraken. You got 2 different types of Megalodon. There's like ghost ships and random skeletal ships that will just appear out of the water. Like,
none of that was in beta. I don't even think the Kraken was in beta, was it, Rob?
Kraken was in beta.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Yes, it was. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
You can also be very unlucky, like we were on our first playthrough after not playing it for quite a while. We was on one of the medium, like 3-man ships it was, and we went out into this open part of the water, started to storm, then the Kraken appeared, and I was like, oh shit, Kraken, like, let's try and get rid of that. As soon as the Kraken sort of started to disappear, it was still about, but just sort of hanging around, wasn't attacking the ship, we had a Megalodon attack us at exactly the same time. So we had both bosses in one sitting, and I was like, this is definitely very rare. This is something that shouldn't happen. And our friend Cameron, who was just who was playing it for the very first time, was just like, oh god, does this happen quite a lot? Is this something? I was like, nope, this does not happen at all.
God, can you imagine if that happened all the time? You'd probably just not even bother playing.
Oh no, it'd be awful. But no, I also picked up, or I didn't pick it up, I picked up in the sale Arizona Sunshine, and played a little bit of that, a little bit of the story of the first one of that, and that's absolutely terrifying. I got to the part where you go into the mine on the very first story, I think it is.
Yeah, that happened to Rob and I as well.
Jesus, being the second player as well, which means you can't use the torch, and you only get a glow stick, is just infuriating. Like, you can't even see what's 5 yards in front of you. You have to I literally spent the whole time standing behind my mate John, who was playing as well with me, and just literally as well, like, there's only a certain number, you can only hold like four guns or whatever it is. So I had like 4 different pistols, and when they were running out of ammo, I had to quickly switch to a different pistol, and it was just, had the worst time, and like many, many heart attacks of zombies just jump scaring me from behind and stuff. But it's for like a very basic VR game, really good, like, little story. I expected for there to be like puzzle bits and stuff like that in it, but unless there is, I've not come across it yet. But it seems to be, go to this place, grab this thing, come back, then cross the bridge. The thing is,
it was released in 2016, and it was one of the very early VR games.
Yeah.
So that's like 4 years of development ahead of that, and now we've got Alex. So
yeah, it's not Half-Life Alex, is it?
It's no, of course not. But we can't shit on it because it has paved the way
early days,
for.
Yeah.
It's early VR, and it's paved the way to where we are now. And even as a kind of basic VR game, it's not bad. It could be a lot better, obviously, but
it could be a lot worse.
it could be a hell of a lot worse. And we've played worse. We played a lot worse in VR. And Arizona actually holds its own. Yeah, Payday 2, for example, is terrible in VR. And Arizona Sunshine is actually very well polished in comparison to Payday 2 VR. So, there's, even as an older game, it still stands some test of time. And it's enjoyable. It is very enjoyable. And seeing zombies come at you is pretty good. Don't quote that. But Rob, you've played Saints and Sinners, right? So how would you compare the kind of the zombie, like obviously taken into consideration as 4 years of gap, but how would you compare?
Obviously the zombies in Arizona Sunshine are just very basic, like melee enemies, whereas Saints and Sinners, they'll grab you, you can blow off their legs, arms, shit like that. You can grab them, push them back, as opposed to just have to shoot them. There is obviously a lot more going on in Saints and Sinners, because obviously it's had a lot more development time and different control schemes and stuff to work around, as opposed to just the basic original Oculus controllers or whatever that Arizona was built for. Anyway, should we get to some news?
Yes, let's move forward to the main talking points of this episode. Start off with...
Oh, wait. I was going to say a little bit of news first to go back to last week's Twitchy nonsense.
Just a tiny little bit of news. Just a little bit.
Oh, well, I had something else, but somebody else can take this one.
Nonsense?
No, Rob, you can go ahead. You're
all right. Okay. Well, there's been a slight update on the Dr. Disrespect thing, in that he has finally broken his silence and said, I cannot tell you anything legally.
Yeah, he had an interview with PC Gamer, and PC Gamer basically asked him some questions. He definitely won't be returning to Twitch, but there are obviously any sort of address that the rumours that were about, basically that he wasn't going to answer any of the rumours because I assume he thinks they're ridiculous, but I don't know why you wouldn't just say that the rumours aren't true.
If they're easily deniable, you would deny them.
Yeah, it's convenient, isn't it? Yeah, if they're ridiculous, say they're ridiculous.
I refuse to answer that. It's silly.
He also...
And he made a key point of saying that they asked him, I think, multiple times, is he going to be taking legal action against Twitch? To which he said, legal action is being considered, not that it was actually taking place.
Anyway.
Well, I can imagine that being considered is just they're weighing out the options of if they could actually take them for any money or not, probably.
Or making it very clear in a public manner that litigation is in consideration so that certain communications would be privileged and not discoverable by a court. But let's not dig into the intricacies of privilege law.
My Twitch news, as I was bringing to the table, was the US Army has been under fire over the past couple of weeks on Twitch. Last week, they got into a little bit of heat for banning users who were asking about US war crimes. And one user got banned for asking, what's your favorite war crime? And and this week, it's been revealed that they've been doing frequent fake giveaways on their Twitch chat, where obviously there's no age limit thing on there. There's no age gate to the US Army Twitch channel. So any kid in the US can be watching this. And they'll do frequent giveaways for an Xbox Elite Series 2 controller that's worth, I think it's about $200. And it says it's a giveaway, whatever, you click through, and it sends you to a recruitment page that has no other mention of contest odds, of however many winners there would be, or when there's going to be a drawing. Just a straight up Army recruitment page.
Brilliant.
Which is actually straight against Twitch's terms of service. It's because it's not a giveaway. It's not like following any of the rules. It's disingenuous.
Breaks advertising regulations.
Even advertising aside, that's morally just
repugnant.
Just fucking what?
Is this their position of strength, though? Like, if we tie this into, the whole conversation about war crimes, or it's like, fuck, guys, that's fucked up. And they're just like, have you seen the shit we do? You think we care about tricking you on Twitch?
So just out of curiosity, did any of you three ever have the army visit your school when you were younger to try and recruit you and try and make the army look really cool?
I can't remember whether that ever happened for us during secondary school, Gary, but...
I think it happened to me in primary school.
Oh, right.
I think.
Get 'em young.
I think. I vaguely remember it. Oh, God, Rob.
We had frequent army visits to our school, and I can reveal now. Well, I'm not revealing anything. I've said about this on Twitter multiple times. Before I got my offer to study law, I was literally in my application process to join the Royal Dragoon Guards as an officer.
Really?
Yep. I was going to get paid to drive a tank.
Ooh. So is that why you like armor so much?
Exactly. That's going to be my life. Just want to drive it around a field.
To be fair, I think anyone would love to drive a tank, right? That'd be quite fun.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, like I think that's the perfect sort of thing. This was all, that sort of stuff was done through really cool exhibits and stuff in schools. You get to go to these like fucking weekends away and all this sort of business. And it's geared at, people who are in school. They are not financially independent. They are more susceptible to things like propaganda and these sort of giveaways and things like that. Like they know what they're doing. There's a science behind it.
Yeah.
And
even
dear fuck, if you're a young listener and you're seeing any of this shit, stay the fuck away from it until your frontal cortex has developed. The army probably
say,
can.
even the ACLU and a few other legal organizations have jumped in and said that the US Army banning people from the channel for asking about war crimes is a breach of the First Amendment because they're a government arm. And it's, you can't legally forbid speech on the basis of viewpoint. So it's not harassment or anything, so they shouldn't be able to ban you. It's speaking truth to power, they said. And banning users who ask important questions isn't flexing, it's unconstitutional.
As a matter of interest from you guys, since you're more fucking accustomed with Twitch, is the US Army one of the only state bodies?
No, we were discussing this before. Yeah, Boris Johnson has not him himself, but the Conservative.
There's a Prime Minister Twitch account.
Does it just host
like
videos?
All the COVID stuff and all that was all released on it, as well as on their like official YouTube channels and all stuff like that.
It's
just another way to get the youth to listen to politics.
Exactly. Oh, the government's on Twitch. That must mean they're really cool. Okay, what are they saying? Oh, Black Lives Don't Matter. Okay, yeah, cool.
That's down with the kids. Oh, fuck, I've just remembered Michael Gove trying to use like London slang and now I need to go and vomit.
I think saying that's down with the kids is also not down with the kids.
Yeah, true.
I say it a lot as well because I'm not down with the kids. I don't think, anyway.
Unlike certain Twitch streamers.
Moving on.
Hey, I'm talking about Boris Johnson. Come on.
Of course.
That's it.
So recently, we have had a few little things pop up in the last couple of weeks. So we've had the what Gary was explaining to us earlier this week, the Devolver Expo game / marketing sim, which I've played through, and it was really good. And I believe Gary's got most of the way through it.
Yeah, I got as far as I could in, I think it was about, I played 17 minutes of it. So I haven't spent longer than that just because Jordy and I decided to jump on a Tarkov. But it is very, very enjoyable. The full title is Devolver Land Expo if you're interested. It's free. If you're
it's about an hour's worth of gameplay.
Yeah, and it's like a nice little... It's a really fun way of marketing your games on a digital platform because obviously with the global pandemic, happening. Events and expos are cancelled. So how do you promote your game to an audience that won't be able to attend or see anything? Yeah, you could do Twitch shows, which a lot of the bigger companies are doing. But I quite like the idea of doing the Devolver Land Expo as like a gamified experience. And the one thing that I was saying to Geordie actually was, I really like that they've kept it like an expo, but they've made their sets even more impressive than if you were to visit them at the expo, because they don't have the constraints of space, time, budget. They can do whatever they want in the game, you know, like even physics on a an issue in the game. So the set pieces inside the game are really, really cool and immersive, and I love that. I think it's a really nice way of moving forward on a digital only platform. I would like to see more like this.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely an experience. I wouldn't say it was a game. Or it's got game elements, but it is more of a. I wouldn't even say it's just a walk-in sim either, because there are game elements to it. You walk into the expo building, it's all shut down and sort of and closed, and there's these security robots sort of walking around, and you've got to try and not be caught by the security because you're in there at night time when it's closed. But you can still go around and look at you can go to the merch stand and you can go and look at all the different like games that they've got on display and stuff like that, and they've all got these sort of generic consoles and screens. They're actually playing footage from the games in the section that you go through. Fuck it, they've even got you enter the hall and there's a big NVIDIA GeForce Experience stall there, like there would be in an actual expo, and you just sort of make your way through the whole game, and there's like, you have to go to every single, like they have pointers in the side of the screen where you sort of say, right, go to this one, then go to the next one, and then once you've done this, you get all this, and you get given a power glove. And then once you get the power glove, you go through, and then the big robot that's been, like the security system that's been talking to you this entire time, ends up being like a boss battle, and it's very Portal vibes of beating GLaDOS to try and get out of the building, sort of thing. But I definitely recommend that we all actually go through and play it. And there's, I think, 22 achievements for doing it, and there's like a couple of extra secret-y bits as well that you can go through and find out. But for a marketing simulation for a games company, it is very well made, and I reckon they should definitely do a lot more of that sort of stuff in the future.
Yeah, agreed. And just to reiterate, it's not a game. It is a marketing gamified experience. So it is a glorified advert, technically, but then so is going to an expo. You know, you're paying
it's a free
to
game,
see.
so it is technically a game. There are aspects of a game within it, but it is majority there for you to watch adverts.
Yes, it's just a nice way of marketing your product and your games, and you know, I love it. I want to see more like this. Yeah. And even you know, even if they just remade, say, for example, like E3 or Gamescom or PAX, if they remade those in a digital platform where you can visit the expo from the comfort of your own home, I would love that.
Yeah, perfect.
As a consumer, you know, I love going to the expos. I've been to a handful, some for work as well, and they're great. They're really, really great, but they're very busy. And if you want to actually play any of the games, you've got to queue up for like hours. And it's, you know, you might be all right with that. You might not. But that's the reality behind going to an expo. It's really cool.
There was one thing that I thought that Brendan brought up, actually, as I was streaming it for him a bit earlier. Did you want to mention that, Brendan?
Oh, yeah. I think if they had a bit more time to develop this as a concept. Maybe, next year, there's no guarantee that COVID will be gone by next year. Like, realistically, we could be looking at an extended quarantine across many countries and keeping social distancing rules for mass gatherings. So with a bit more time, a concept of that, like the same idea, you go into your convention center, you're able to move around the place. You could expand that by literally including demos in the demo. You can go in and try some of the games out, and even have a multiplayer element to it. You can talk about it and everything.
The ability to go in there, sit down on one of those chairs.
Yeah, but obviously, if they're going to be doing that, Devolver will have to pay me now because I've come up with that idea.
Yeah, it's why I quite like the Star Citizen events. When they do those, they usually couple it with a free fly. As long as you create an account, you can download the game for the week or whatever they're running it. And you go in, there's that in-game expo hall. It's all laid out with lots of, just marketing stuff for each individual ship brand and things. And you can rent out each ship for free for a week or a day or whatever, depending on, like, Drake one day and Anvil the next sort of thing. So you can rent all their ships for the day and then take them out and just fly them. And you can be like, okay, I was thinking of buying into the game or whatever. So or something, because I really enjoyed how that flow. Having it all in game is add your head in and have a play around with is just, a lot better, and it beats actual queues.
Yeah. I think the only reservation a lot of game companies will have is that they won't want to put their game demo into
you might have to
an online
work
platform
in some sort of streaming
up and look at
thing, so it's not directly downloaded or whatever, but there's a lot of game streaming services at the moment. You'd have to tie it in with that'd work, like, as a promo thing for that company or whatever that does streaming services. If you tied it into that, you stream the demos through that or something, so there's no piracy and downloading sort of issues. It's all streamed.
Would make sense.
Good one.
Something like a Stadia type effect, where you log on to a browser on a computer in the expo online, and like in the digital expo, you log into the browser on the screen, and it's like a Stadia version, like, so it's like syncing to a server elsewhere.
That could work. Yeah, it's something that they could think of and get around. But yeah,
that'd be really cool.
The games that were shown off in the Devolver.
Yeah,
Expo,
I'm really looking forward to that.
We had Carrion, which I know a few of you guys are
lovely jubbly.
Looking forward to. That's out on the 23rd of July.
This month.
Will be
very
in 2 days' time.
Oh, of release, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very excited to play that, actually. I managed to play, I got a quick demo of it back in last year, and it's fucking great. I love it. It feels great to play, so I'm looking forward to it a lot.
We've also got Shadow Warrior 3, which I've never played in the previous Shadow Warriors, but from the ad that I saw within the expo, it looks quite fun. It looks a bit like that's the other one. Sorry, I'm thinking of Serious Sam 4 was a little bit Doom-esque. Got big Doom vibes from Serious Sam. I've never played a Serious Sam game.
It's always had a kind of that arcadey, ultra-violent sort of vibe to it anyway, except with more sunshine rather than lava caves.
Yeah. But that's in August. That'll be coming out. The Shadow Warrior 3 was next year sometime. Weird West was like a third person? Like a third person perspective. Oh, no, isometric. RPG sort of game, which looked interesting, to say the least.
Kind of in the style of Desperados.
Yeah. I think the gameplay is very different to Desperados, but there's probably similar things, because obviously it's Wild West. I mean, well, there's not a lot you can adapt on, but the game looks really interesting. The art style is very nice. I like that a lot. Maybe isometric isn't the right term. It's kind of isometric, but not quite.
Like a 3D platformer sort of thing, but
No, not a platformer. Like I think isometric is probably the fairest way to describe it because it's very much of that sort of camera angle. Obviously, you get a bit more ability to spin it around and stuff like that, but fundamentally, that's what it is. It's not behind the player. It's not first person. It is up and above, surveying the general area at an angle.
Yeah, and it's not bird's eye either.
It's not like straight down, top down.
I think there is a specific term for that. That isn't isometric, because I believe isometric means that it's either fixed or fixed at a 45 to 90 degree angle.
Yeah, like the Command and Conquer games.
Exactly, like Command and Conquer. If anyone listening knows what that exact terminology is, please let us know. I'm sure I've heard it before, but for the life of me, I can't remember right now.
And if you're going to make one up, make it cool. Don't give us some boring shit. Yeah. Give it a cool name.
Or if you've never heard of this term, just make one up. Yeah, just make it up and send it to us. See if you can come up with a cooler variation.
Whatever one we find more believable, we'll get a retweet.
Yeah.
We also saw Blightbound, which was like a D&D-esque sort of like Darkest Dungeon meets Divinity, I think, from what I saw. And then Fall Guys, which was very, very bright and colourful and looks like a party game. But yeah, that was the Devolver Expo.
I'm very excited for Fall Guys. That's been on my wish list since last year. You're
lucky, Gary, because that's coming out in a couple of weeks.
I know. I'm excited for it as well. Like I Devolver for me, I always enjoy their games. They always make really great kind of, not necessarily indie, but they're not AAA. So in some respects, they're kind of indie-esque, even though they still have quite a bit of money behind them. The essence behind them are like the games are really well made, and you can see that they're like passion projects, which is why I really enjoy playing them. And I have a lot of fun playing them. In fact, like a lot of I don't think I've ever played a Devolver game which I haven't enjoyed. Whereas other publishers or even developers who release multiple different types of games, I could say that I'm not a fan of everything that they make.
Talking about not a fan of everything that they make, Ubisoft Forward Online event also happened on the 12th.
Yeah, and
was it the 12th?
Make no mention of the sexual assault allegations that have, fallen on several higher members of staff in the Ubisoft chain. Nope, look at our new games. Be distracted. Look at them. Shiny, new.
Well, it's really stretching the definition of the word new, isn't it?
Well, I was happily surprised by a few of the games in this in the list that came out on this event. Watchdogs Legions was the first one that they sort of announced on the event, and they started it off with this really cool short film, just sort of in the realms of sort of Into the Spider-Verse style art-wise. I can't remember the name of the director.
Yeah, the art director also did, I think it was The Witness in Love, Death and Robots on Netflix, which is well worth a watch.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. The cinematic that they made, or short film rather, it was incredible. The art style was I don't think I've seen anything quite like that in the gaming industry. From in terms of like the editing of the film itself, it looked incredible. In fact, I don't think I've seen anything quite like that as a film either.
Into the Spider-Verse, it was definitely its own sort of thing. But the only thing I could sort of compare it to was sort of Into the Spider-Verse in terms of the art style.
Yeah. I mean, I think Into the Spider-Verse is a good comparison. Obviously, it's like a totally different aesthetic, but in terms of the way that it was, that it almost felt similar in the way that it was. Yeah, it was rendered in a really nice way. It was shot in a really nice way. The cinematography was great. The the close up of the face with all the fucking neon lights and glitches coming over it. It was awesome. It looked really, really cool. And the thing that I liked about it was that it was very much. Sometimes you see a cinematic and you look at it and you're like, well, that's obviously a cinematic, and yeah, that's not really going to happen in the game, even though this is still a cinematic, and it's not going to be an exact representation of the game in the slightest. This one actually felt like it did actually bring in a lot of the elements of the game from what we've seen of the gameplay. It actually kind of fit with the game and the lore of the game, in my eyes anyway. I don't know if you all agree with that or not.
Like, the one thing that I've already heard sort of confirmed from playtesting that was my main concern with the big idea that they're bringing to Watchdogs Legion was with the whole everybody's recruitable thing, was that it might be a bit watered down by release, and you'd probably end up running into a lot of similar voices and eventually a lot of similar faces and things. And I think quite a lot of reporters and things got, I think it was 3 hours with Legion. And they said already within that 3 hours, they were running into people with like the same face and voice actor and things. And the massive range of skill sets and stuff that had been shown off at the old E3 demo were no longer present, which is, it's been narrowed down quite a bit. So, for instance, there's now like builders will come with a nail gun sort of thing, and if you find a spy, they come with a silenced pistol, that sort of thing. So it's very narrowed down to what can actually be done, and there's not going to be as much variety, I don't think, which is a shame.
From what I saw in the footage, there was still quite a considerable amount of classes and people and different melee weapons and stuff like that they had. Like, from what I saw, they showed off a construction worker who had like this construction drone that you could fly on, which was basically like a futuristic scissor lift. He had a pipe wrench and a nail gun were his weapons, sort of thing. So a melee weapon and a range weapon. Then you had this like drone expert who was like this tech guru sort of girl who basically had all these different drones. One was like a spider drone that sort of, when I ran over to the nearest enemy, crawled up them and then sort of like face hugged them into submission. And then other sort of ones which were like a shock drone from like the sky, which would just go through and like shock enemy equipment or take out the lights and stuff so you could sneak in. There was quite a lot of variety from what I could see. But then, you also got to think about, like, as a games company, you're only going to be able to hire a certain number of voice actors, and then the rest of the modifications are going to be, right, let's like sort of auto-tune their voice to sound slightly deeper or slightly higher or like a different female. But I still think they should definitely have quite a number of players. There probably will be like a sheet of all the different like players and names that you can get for all these different people. I can't imagine there'll be an endless supply.
I guess it depends on, from these reporters, are they picking similar types of people, or is it just so happening that they bump into, sorry, my voice went there. Is it just so happening that they bump into the same voice randomly? Maybe there's, don't quote me on this, but maybe there's like, say, 20 voices. Maybe they ran into the same voice twice because there's not that many to go from. Or maybe there's 100 voices, but they still got, because there's so many people in the world, they still picked someone who had the same voice. If multiple reports are coming out about that, then fair. But also you've got to kind of rein in your expectations of what this is. You're playing multiple different people in a game. You're not going to have hundreds and hundreds of voices. So
also you're playing in a game that's based in London, so a lot of the characters are going to have the same accent.
Yeah.
Like, I understand
It's
that,
just going to be
I understand that
it's just going to be
London's
Geordie's.
multicultural, but there's going to be a lot of like
East London.
There's gonna be a
there's
lot
going to be a
of,
lot of white
like-
men from East London in the game. They're just going to be like, "Oh, mate, you old China, ease up."
So just you. It's going to be you. It's going to be Geordie Wiz Simulator.
Geordie, maybe that's your.
Oi.
Maybe you should be
You
a,
what, lads?
a voice actor. Maybe you could find a job doing that.
I should bring up Ubisoft.
Do you need East London
Hello.
white?
I'm actually
Oh,
just
mucker.
watching this fucking video now, and I can't even
Seen the
make
football
this
fan.
fucking reference specifically. But you know the builder that they choose to sort of do the show off with, the guy with the beard. His name is Arthur Griffin. It's the name of a politician in Ireland.
So, just for anyone who's listening who isn't aware of Watchdogs or even Watchdogs Legion, the premise is basically open world city with hacking and real time hacking in it. So, this one, Legion, is set in London, and it's kind of like GTA, really, where you can drive the cars around and kill people and shoot people or whatever. But you can use your mobile phone to hack things in real time. So there's like drones that you can hack. There's cars that you can manually drive yourself. So you could stand on top of the car and drive it without actually driving the car. So I remember I saw that in the reveal, and I thought that was quite a nice touch. And it obviously I think it's heavily alluded that it's set in the same universe as Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, Watch Dogs 1 as there was a mission where you actually assassinate the Abstergo CFO.
Ah,
And then Watch Dogs 2, though, had Ubisoft in-game, which meant that Watch Dogs 1 was a video game, as is Assassin's Creed, but there was still some links to Watch Dogs. So it didn't make any fucking sense in terms of what's now going on in the Ubiverse.
so the universe is meant to be where the game is actually a game.
Yeah, I have no idea anymore.
Yeah.
I think they have a grand plot, and I think there's probably a level of retconning happening after Connor, spoilers, died in Assassin's
Connor?
Creed 3. I mean, is it Connor?
Desmond.
No.
Desmond.
Sorry.
Desmond. Connor was the ancestor,
Yeah.
I think, wasn't
Connor
he?
was the ancestor, the Native American.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play number 3 because it didn't interest me in the slightest.
It's the worst one.
If they're doubling down on this idea of like a one singular Ubisoft universe, I'm wondering just how long it's going to take before Sam Fisher shows up in an Assassin's Creed game.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know. He's already showed up in
Siege.
Ghost Recon, but then again, that is the Clancy Ubiverse, isn't it? So
Talking
Is
about
it,
the Clancy
coming in-
universe.
is he arriving in Rainbow Six Siege?
No, he's arriving
Well,
in
I
their
don't know.
new Overwatch / Team Fortress 2 tribute act, which I think Jordan's about to take us through.
Yes, Tom Clancy Elite Squad, which is basically all of the Tom Clancy game characters put into one big online shooter, which they had a very small sort of cinematic snippet of a few of the Siege guys going to bust out, I think it's one of the bosses from one of the other Tom Clancy games with the tattoos all over his face.
Yeah, and Sam Fisher's in that one as well.
Yeah, it'll be
Butch guy.
would that be Big Bad from the original Breakpoint? No, not Breakpoint. Wildlands.
Yep. So they break him out of prison, or they're stored in like the Japanese map of Siege by some terrorist team or whatever, and they go in and they break him out, and then cartoon Sam Fisher turns up as well and helps them escape. But yeah, that's one of their things that's to be announced for a launch date, but it's definitely giving us a sort of Team Fortress Overwatch vibes in terms of characters. It looks a little bit like, what was I thinking of? What was the Battlefield cartoony one?
Oh, Battlefield Heroes.
Heroes.
That's the one. It gives me that vibes.
The important
Heroes
thing
vibes.
actually to note here, just while I'm saying that, because kind of when we talk about Team Fortress 2 and Overwatch and that sort of setup, this is a 5v5 game on mobile. It's for Android and iOS, and that's it.
I was just about to say it. By the looks of things, it says mobile only, which is interesting because there's a lot of big games such as Fortnite and PUBG, and I'm sure Call of Duty as well probably have their own mobile game. But there's a lot of games doing mobile games now, and surprisingly doing quite well, which is interesting.
Pre-COVID, whenever I was on the way home from work on the train, there were always like a couple of lads with their phones out playing Call of Duty online on their mobiles and stuff like that. And I sort of look and go, I'm quite a big gamer and I play games a lot. Well, I couldn't sit on the train and play Call of Duty on my mobile phone. I just couldn't see the appeal in it.
I have tried to play a variety of games on a mobile, and dear fuck, it is not a good controller for any game.
Well, that being said, there are some games that are built specifically for mobile which work.
Yeah,
but
like
obviously
Tetris.
the first-person ones are kind of shit. Well, the one that comes to my mind that I absolutely adored was Monument Valley. That game was absolutely incredible, and it was built really well.
We'll have to do an episode on mobile games because there's quite a few mobile games from the past and now that are coming out that are quite interesting, and I reckon we could have to do a little.
If we do one, can our listeners please recommend some decent mobile games to play? Because currently I have an iPhone and all I play is Dumb Ways to Die, and that's about it. I have one game called Ryman Capsule, which crashes every time I get to a beacon. And Dots. Dots is like those. Both Dots and Dumb Ways are pretty much the only games I have played for longer than just a couple of days.
Play Woody. It is basically it's not Tetris in the way of, you've got to keep the layers disappearing as they tick down.
You have to move the blocks to get a certain block out.
No, it is it is a square, and you've got to basically put blocks into the square and keep getting full lines across the square to remove them. Very fucking simple block puzzle game, but dear God, if I'm on the toilet, I'm going to be there a while because I'm just fucking stuck playing Woody.
Toilet games are the best games.
Yeah, see that like I haven't got a toilet game anymore because Ryman Capsule was like a 40-minute plus game, and I'm just bored of playing Dots because it's just
Dots.
Gary, you telling me you've not christened your Switch yet?
Oh no, I've christened my Switch.
When you say christen, are you talking about pissing on the Switch? Or?
No, just using your Switch while you're on the toilet.
Yeah. When you're going for a long session in the loo. Long visit. Obviously, you wash your hands and you put the controller down before you wipe, but yes.
Obviously.
You don't want to have shit sticks.
No, you one hand play your game while the other hand's doing its business.
Top fucking tips from the Video Games Chat podcast. Don't get shit on your video games.
Don't get shit on your Switch.
This is the sort of insight that people listen to us for.
This is the
real
quality
groundbreaking
podcast.
stuff.
Quality podcast conversation. But yes, Jody, I have indeed.
I can't believe I've cited this podcast as something I do on my fucking goddamn professional website. I'm a co-host of a podcast. Listen to us talk about shitting on your Switch.
I've applied to many games companies using this as my one of my top things that I do outside of work.
Well, that's probably why you're not getting a job.
I'm not getting any jobs, yeah.
Yeah, they probably listened to the last podcast that just opens with us saying nonce repeatedly for the second 40 seconds.
Oh my God. Yeah,
which was a conscious choice when it came to the edit, I will say.
Boys, I've just had an absolute great pop-up come up from the PC Gamer website. There's a video online now of Henry Cavill as he seductively builds a PC online.
Oh Christ, I was watching that earlier. Watch it about 8 times in a row.
Seductively.
Brilliant.
Maybe I need to
Well,
watch that on the
it's
toilet.
Henry Cavill and he's in a tank top. Of course, it's seductively.
Even if he's not in a tank top, if he's in nothing, but even if he's not in a tank top, it's still going to be seductive.
He plays smooth jazz, like he's edited the video to have smooth jazz over the top of it.
God damn.
Reckon we get Henry Cavill on the podcast to talk about The Witcher?
You can just about get me onto the podcast to talk about video games.
It's true.
Well, we all know you're very famous outside of this podcast, Brendan. You're doing us a massive service.
Yes, I know. My many movies that I've been in.
On your own Fucking hell! Like, come on, right? Let's get back on track.
So video games.
Hyperscape, the new battle royale sensation, is going to be sweeping every 13-year-old.
Thank God, someone finally looked at the fucking video games industry and thought, you know what, we need a fucking battle royale game.
Well, it's Ubisoft and they've not done one yet, so they had to put their oar in, didn't they? So it's a new free-to-play multiplayer shooter battle royale based in a digital future world where the game is actually a game and you like send yourself into the internet to play the game, and it's all based on like Twitch integration, basically where halfway through a game or a certain time limit into a game, a random Twitch stream that's in your game or someone that's in your game's Twitch audience will affect the gameplay by adding like a buff or a debuff to the whole server. So like there'll be a low gravity thing where everything goes into low gravity, or an unlimited ammo where everyone's ammo just becomes unlimited, or some sort of little gimmick that will just try to make this playable.
What were we talking about earlier about
that
you know, that Devolver thing not actually being a video game? It's nothing more than a vehicle for marketing.
What about it?
Yeah.
Just, you know, fucking designing your game construction around ensuring people are streaming it on services so that it keeps getting fucking advertised. Thanks for that, Ubisoft.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing to introduce.
Well, Hyperscape started off on Twitch a few weeks ago. That it was given out to a load of Twitch streamers, and it was a case of you had to watch the stream to get drops, to get the beta, to be able to play it. Now I believe it is in full beta, and it is a free-to-play download now, so you can just grab the game and play it.
And
I don't know whether I'll give it a go, but it does seem quite fast-paced, sort of Apex Legends-y, where you've got like certain heroes with certain abilities and stuff like that.
yeah.
I got confused when I saw this.
You thought it was like an Overwatch team-based shooter, but
I thought it was a hero shooter. It like I didn't get
that's the
battle
other
royale element
Ubisoft
of it.
game.
Oh, yeah.
It's a hero-based battle royale.
It looks like Overwatch and Apex had a baby, and Fortnite had a baby, because it looks like it's marketed for kids.
Oh, 100%, yeah. As all battle royales are being, basically.
Moving towards, yes, because of the success of
Money!
Fortnite. But yeah, I'm not going to play this game. I think it looks like a Twitch shooter kind of thing. Not, well, literally a Twitch shooter, but in terms of like... it's just like someone who's been drinking too much fucking energy drinks.
Acid.
It's so fast paced that like I enjoy a battle royale game. I enjoy a fast paced game. I don't necessarily enjoy what I'm seeing here, and it's not. The thing is, this game isn't targeted to any of us four. Like, this is not a game that we are being marketed towards. It just, personally, I still, even haven't seen it, I don't want to play it. I don't think, unless it's free to play.
Because it's free to play, I will definitely just give it a go.
Fortnite's already free to play, and it's out now.
I know, that's, I don't like...
Yeah, but what? But this one has slightly new powers in it, and it's got a fucking requirement for you to stream on Twitch.
Not a requirement.
Just a heavily influenced gameplay feature.
I think that it just to me, it just doesn't bring anything new to the battle royale scene.
No, it will try to, but at the end of the day, it will just be another battle royale shooter.
Just buy the skins and fuck off.
I like the idea of Twitch integration, but that is also, I would say, a bit of a gimmick.
Oh, 100% is a gimmick, yeah. It's something to make it different from Fortnite. That's all it is.
Well, I don't think Fortnite is the problem here. I mean, obviously, it is a
Fortnite is the base for most battle royale games, or Fortnite and PUBG. But in the terms of if you're looking at it as a game, that is it trying to copy PUBG? Is it trying to copy Fortnite? This is something that's definitely trying to copy Fortnite. It's not trying to be realistic. It's not trying to.
I would say it. Overwatch is closer to how this game plays than Fortnite. Obviously, it's a battle royale, and obviously, it's going to have to compete against it.
I don't get what your obsession with saying that Overwatch is like not as good, but I was saying Fortnite is probably closer because it is a battle royale game. The only thing that this has got, which is anything similar to what Overwatch has, is that there are characters with abilities. But if you're going to say that's a similarity, then Apex Legends is probably more of a similar.
They all feed off each other
to anything else.
Yeah, Apex is also closer, but like the art style of Hyperscape looks pretty much spot on to that of Overwatch, and the way that you play the game, like the way that I've seen it, there's a lot of jumping around. There's a lot of like, I don't know. The gunplay looks very much like Overwatch to me, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a negative. I'm just saying that if you put both of those side by side, I would probably think they were the same game. Whereas if you put Hyperscape up against Fortnite, or if you put it up against Apex, I'll probably be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, whereas as I'm a person who plays Overwatch quite a bit, then I would say that this looks similar in the art style, but in terms of gameplay, it looks completely different.
Fair enough. I didn't play Overwatch that much, but from
my opinion, this is more Apex Titanfall style movement, where there's lots of like high jumping, wall riding, being flung across the map and stuff like that, rather than sort of Overwatch, where it's sort of a bit more only certain characters can sort of hover and jump about, whereas this one seems like it's all like aerial based combat and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll give it a go, see what it's like. But
well,
I can guess it's probably just going to be a battle
enough
royale.
about that. What's our next Ubisoft rehash? Come on.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Excellent, fantastic, fucking Odyssey with trees. Yes. Let's do it.
Odyssey with trees. I never played Odyssey. I've not played any Assassin's Creed game since 3, I think, or Revelations, if that was after 3.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot since the classic Assassin's Creeds. With Origin and Odyssey, it's far more of a Witcher free climb.
Yeah, they fully embrace the adventure RPG thing. No, it's got fuck all to do with Assassins. It's just a fucking adventure RPG.
Yeah, which, to be fair, I'm kind of glad they have done, because, quite frankly, that whole thing, they sort of killed off a massive plot thread when they killed off Desmond and just sort of, we've wrapped this up now. And I was like, oh. But now they're just going off and doing all sorts of different historical adventures across different time periods and settings, and I'm all for it. Because considering they've based it off Witcher 3, which is a fucking solid game, Odyssey I really loved it. Gorgeous fucking environment, great characters and stuff, and just a really fun setting to play around in. And obviously, being Vikings and raiding England and getting to raid my home county of Shropshire at some point, it looks like it's later game because it's like further inland sort of thing. But getting to have a poke around what Ubisoft picture Shropshire as is going to be fun. It's going to be like, hey.
Hopefully, there might be a lot of like interesting individuals, shall we say, from a very strong bloodline.
The Nicholson bloodline is pure. has been untainted for thousands of years.
Nazi clan.
Yeah.
I just really hope if when I pick up this game and I get to a village, start pillaging and setting roofs on fire, and you sort of use your shield, bash into the door and and you just see cowered in a corner, this small ginger man pushing his wife and child in front of him, going, "No, please, not me."
Take them.
The funny thing that I saw on this reveal was you can dual wield shields.
Yes, I saw that as well.
Turtle mode.
That looks incredible.
I think this is one I'll definitely pick up just because I like the look of the combat and being able to dual wield any sort of weapon. And yeah, I think it'll be something that will make me like Assassin's Creed again, and then maybe possibly go back and play the other ones because I'm not really a big fan of the sort of the settings of the other two, like Roman or Egyptian, whatever it was.
Oh, if you play this one, don't bother with the other ones. You'll already have played them by playing this one.
But
I promise you
this
that.
one gave me like massive Assassin's Creed Brotherhood vibes in the way that you're not just an individual assassin. You're sort of like a band of Vikings going around, and you're sort of telling your crew or the other people in your team what to do and where to go and stuff, and you're sort of fighting as a unit, and you go and revive your teammates who are the AI characters whilst you play for it. It just sort of gives you that Brotherhood vibe, which I enjoyed from back in the day.
There's been I don't know if the rest of you have seen, but there's been a lot of a screeching from the conservative market.
Of course.
Regarding the ability to change your gender midway through the game multiple times. In fact, gender isn't an issue in terms of like you're stuck with one player. The one of two genders they portray in most games. You can now switch to whatever you want to do. Which, for me, as I tend to, when I play RPGs, I tend to stick with the same appearance because I like going for like a role-playing type thing, and I usually pick a woman. But I think the idea of switching mid-game is kind of cool, gives you the option to choose midway if you want to change to like a male character instead of a female character.
The characters basically have the same names anyway, so what does it matter whether it's
the same person.
Yeah.
It's the same person, it's just whether or not you have a male or a female body. And
yeah,
literally,
because I mean, Odyssey, they gave you a choice right at the start of the game because it was like, it was DNA on Leonidas's spear or something, and it was like, we can trace this back to two siblings. We don't know which one it actually was.
Yeah,
back in the day. So who would you rather be? And the other one was a villain or something. And I'm assuming they'll do a similar thing in this one where they're just like the DNA is. We're going so far back, to be honest. Like the DNA is only partially complete. We know they were a person. We know we have their DNA, but we don't know whether they were, male or female. So, whatever. Like new animus or whatever. You just switch it up. If you want to be a dude, be a dude. If you want to be a woman, be a woman. Switch it up as you go in. Have some fun with it while you're in there, sort of thing. So they can give it like a decent in-lore explanation anyway for anybody that's, for any of the lore.
I think
sort of players.
I don't think it's the lore that's the problem. I think it's the fact that they think it's pandering to the far leftist agenda of inclusivity.
of there being women and men that play games.
Yeah. And
like choice.
I just
pandering.
I don't get their viewpoint because it doesn't hurt them to be able to change their gender to another gender mid-game. They don't have to do it. Like when I'm playing it, I probably won't. Like I'm not sure I'll play it myself, but if I were to play it, I'd probably just continue playing as the woman because she looks fucking badass. The guy looks badass as well, but
how dare you give us more choice?
Yeah.
How dare you?
It's not hurting anyone in the sense that, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, it's nice that they've done that. And if you want to see what the guy looks like, fucking cool. Or you want to see what the woman looks like. Yeah, no worries. Like, I don't see the issue aside from people just screaming because they think it's a political thing, which it probably is. Like, it could well be a political thing, but so what? Enjoy the fucking game. You're going to play it anyway.
Yeah, that's the one thing that always gets me, is that these people moan about games. Like last week we spoke about Last of Us 2, and now we're talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla, sort of a similar thing. And it's like, you're still playing the games. Why are you moaning about them? Like, just enjoy the games for being games.
Yeah, like,
because it's pandering to allow people that don't look exactly like me to look exactly like they do.
yeah.
Everything must be the culture war.
Yeah, it's. I always find this really funny, and it's a much deeper topic that, like we said before, we will need to cover at some point. But it baffles me when someone is so scared of their own, like, sexuality that they can't just allow others to express themselves.
Indeed.
And that's the bottom line on that.
Yeah.
And the final talking point of the Ubisoft Forward Online event.
There's a very good boy in it. A very good boy.
Let me do this one, Jordan. Let me do this one. Ubisoft is releasing a game soon, which is going to have a remarkable villain in it. And it's going to be set in an exotic location where you're going to be involved in fighting insurgents. Can you guess what it's called yet? There will probably be towers to climb.
Just Cause 5?
And patrols to dodge.
Oh, no, it's different studio.
Yeah. FarCry 6 is here. But this time we've got that guy from Breaking Bad in it, so it's new.
And there's a very good boy. A good old pupper.
We couldn't even get a fourth time splitters, and these fuckers are on Far Cry 6 already.
In their defense,
Fuck their defense.
Far Cry 5 was a very good game. The DLC,
it was very good fun, especially in co-op.
The DLC, on the other hand, we shall not mention. But the core game, Far Cry 5, was very fun as a co-op experience to some degree. But the game was very fun. And I kind of welcome a Far Cry 6. You know, I like playing Far Cry games. And I'm excited to play a co-op run through. I assume there's probably co-op, but I would like to play.
Yeah, there should be. I mean, there was in 4, they built on it for 5, so I'm hoping they build on it for 6 and actually have, like, progress joint, at least.
I hope so.
And maybe fucking relax that stupid tethering thing.
They've been trying to break out in the multiplayer aspect of it since, like, Far Cry 3 anyway, so it's inevitable they'll try to build on that in some sense.
I was about to say the only Far Cry game I've ever played is Far Cry 3, and I played 2 hours of it multiplayer with a few of my mates, and I didn't get on with it at all.
Yeah.
The single player is infinitely better than the multiplayer by a large margin.
Because the multiplayer for Far Cry 5 as well, they had like this whole idea of like the created maps and things, and it'd be on like a showcase and they'd randomly throw them into the map selection so you could always try out something new, which worked really well for like the first couple of months. And then they changed it around to like a curated system or something. And so nothing new would ever get shown.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, so how's anything ever supposed to break out then?
So if you're making like a really cool map, you basically have to have released that within the first week. So rather than play the actual fucking game, you spend instead your entire time making a really, really solid map. Release that on the server so that everyone can play it, and then you get upvoted, and then you're up there pretty much forever. Because after a couple of weeks, they changed it to what Rob said, in that then Ubisoft chooses whose maps get put up. So if you delayed by even a couple of days of, like, just say you were trying to make your map extra perfect, it would never get seen by the lights of day. You know, it's the same.
That's pretty much it.
The same.
So I'm hoping if they keep the editor, they at least expand on it and just allow maps to sort of flourish, which is
What I
a
want,
massive shape, because as soon as I got bored with multiplayer was when that came in, because I was always playing the same maps and I didn't want to.
Yeah, I ended up playing the same map multiple times, and I was just like, if all we're doing is playing the same map, like fuck this, I'm not that interested. As long as they fix the issues that they had from the multiplayer of Far Cry 5, I'll play it. And I think I'll very much enjoy it. I'm definitely not pre-ordering it, and I'm definitely not getting the DLC.
Getting the season pass.
Fuck that shit. Fuck that. Like,
yeah.
Are you sure that you're not going to get the 180 quid collector's edition that comes with a toy flamethrower?
Toy flamethrower sounds quite fun.
I know someone.
It's just plastic. There's
I know
nothing
someone
to
who's
it.
already pre-ordered it.
The game or
The special edition with the flamethrower.
Oh, God. Somebody with more money than sense?
Not really. No. From what
Oh, God. He doesn't have money or sense. Oh, no.
Yeah. They will remain nameless, and I will protect their integrity.
Yeah, but just know Geordie is judging you, and so are
A
we.
little bit.
I will inevitably play this game as I have with all the others when I will pick it up for about 4 quid on Steam about a year after release, because it just hasn't performed all that well and nobody is interested in it because it is nothing more than a fucking reskin of the last game. I'm on to you, Ubisoft.
Yeah, that
we know what you're at.
That's going to be the defining factor with, is the multiplayer fixed? Because, New Dawn, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, it should have been as part of the DLC, not a separate game. And I was
100%.
heavily disappointed.
Should have been Blood Dragon.
It kind of was Blood Dragon. It was kind of like Primal, but it was a separate entity and not a DLC. But I see what you mean.
Yeah, Blood Dragon was at least its own thing that had like its own map and everything. It was a fully standalone sort of thing, and it came out at a much cheaper price point. Whereas Primal took Far Cry 4's
it sort of
map.
acted like a DLC because it was like a bonus thing to Far Cry 3, where it's just like, it's the same engine, we've reskinned it in a cool sort of synthwave thing that you'll like.
Yeah.
And that's just like, that fucking, like, when they came up with that after Far Cry 5, it was essentially just, we've added more plants and things are fucking fluorescent pink now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was a direct continuation from the story and finale of Far Cry 5. So why release it as a kind of off
as its own game? It should have been an expansion.
Yeah.
Like if that had been in the season pass, I'd have been happier with the season pass.
If that was the only thing that came in the season pass, I would have been happy. That's the thing. I don't want to get into it, but the season pass was such a waste of money. I was so disappointed, and that's why I'm hesitant with Far Cry 6, especially with the season pass, especially pre-ordering. Yep. The game itself.
If you look at Far Cry 5 on Steam, Far Cry 5 itself, I think it's mostly or overwhelmingly positive. Every single piece of DLC is overwhelmingly negative.
Yeah,
because they are all trash.
Yeah, but here's hoping that 6. Like, if Far Cry 6 is as good as the base game as Far Cry 5 was, it'll be good. It'll be a fun Far Cry game. If you're into Far Cry, I'm sure it'll be fun. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
Cool. So, guys, what one of these games that we spoke about in this episode are you guys looking forward to the most?
Well, I think we just covered it off. It would probably be Far Cry 6, provided it's all fixed.
Yeah, either Far Cry 6 or Valhalla out of the two, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll go with Valhalla or Watchdogs. I think Watchdogs is coming. Watchdogs are coming out first, so I'll probably end up getting that just to see what the DVO is.
Coming out the same month as Star Wars Squadrons, though. So
it is indeed. Well, hopefully I've got a job by then.
Is this just the Ubisoft ones?
This is just Ubisoft. Yeah, this is all that's happened in the last couple of weeks.
Interesting.
Christ, yeah. If we're choosing our favourites out of all of those, like, I'm genuinely just not excited about fucking any of those because I've played all those games before. And they've just done nothing.
Yeah.
Give me a new, fully fledged Splinter Cell game, please.
Yes,
Ubisoft.
please. It's been so long. And get Michael fucking Ironside
20
back.
quid onto the fucking pre-order price so that you can get a fucking golden spandex outfit for Sam Fisher. Just make the fucking game.
Do you know what? A golden spandex outfit for Sam Fisher would be hilarious.
I will strangle you to death.
You suggested it. Right, Ubisoft, if you're listening, put that in just to spite Brendan. Because he will buy it. We'll make sure he buys it. We'll buy it for him.
We will buy it with
Give
you.
me a fucking, just give me your fucking original IP, make it well, and don't fucking regurgitate last year's fucking game.
Well, you notice that Watchdogs Legion is coming out in October. Valhalla is scheduled to release on the 17th of November, which puts it very close to Cyberpunk. So it'll be very interesting to see if Cyberpunk is actually releasing on the new schedule.
Or whether it's getting delayed again.
Yeah,
before it gets delayed again.
Go on, delay
I'm happy with the delay.
Go on.
I'm happy if they delay it because it makes the game better. But what I'll be interested to see it. Well, yeah, because it means that they have more time to fix the bugs.
Didn't help Duke Nukem.
No, but it could have helped quite a lot of other games that, we've mentioned before and we haven't mentioned on the podcast, that could have done with certainly another year of development. Battlefield.
Yeah. Main culprit right there.
Yeah. No Man's Sky.
Yep.
Yo.
Yeah, I don't mind a game taking longer to make as long as they fix it. Like, fundamentally, take as fucking long as you need to take it. Well, yeah, they probably could have fixed that a little bit better.
That's the thing as well, though, Gary. When you do actually not have those publisher constraints and things, and you do take your time, you also run the risk of putting people off from taking too long, or just ending up with that criticism of, oh well, it's never coming out anyway, is it? Think Star Citizen.
Yeah,
142.
I think that the problem with games like Star Citizen and DayZ for that matter is that they're not doing that much. There's a lot of back end work, and I completely respect that. But as a consumer, nothing's really happening.
I feel like Cyberpunk would be getting the kind of flack that Star Citizen is getting if Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red were every single month going, nah, go on, another 30 quid. Go, come on, keep buying. Basically the equivalent of 100 copies of the game.
And given the fact that they, obviously Robert Space Industries or the guy behind it built Star Commander or Wing Commander or whatever it was.
Wing Commander.
But at least CD Projekt Red made a very, very good game, a very successful game beforehand. So there's a lot more faith behind them than, Wing Commander I'm sure was a good game, don't get me wrong. But
the entire Wing Commander franchise not only sold very well and was critically and commercially successful, but, it spawned off Freelancer from that, which was originally his idea for what it was his original Star Citizen, but again it was sort of pushed out before it could be fully done, sort of thing, which is why he then always had that in mind of, this is what I want to do though, which is now finally what he's coming around to after he stopped making games for a while and instead became a film producer or something. I think he produced Lord of War and shit. So
either way, I would say Witcher is much more popular than, say, Wing Commander.
Yeah, I'd say it's people are more forgiving with CD Projekt Red because they're an established studio. They've already released games under CD Projekt Red. If this had been, Witcher 1 through 3 had come out 15, 20 years ago, that company had dissolved, having been bought by EA and then just dismantled, sort of thing. And then they came back now under a new studio and were we're making a game off the Cyberpunk tabletop RPG. I think they'd have a lot more criticism than they do now for being established. So
I think the other problem is that, we're diverging completely, but the likes of Star Citizen, over the 2 years that I've owned the game, not a lot has been introduced. And every time it is introduced, they introduce more bugs. And a shit ton more bugs. So they basically...
We have covered this before.
We have. And it's just from a consumer point of view, it's fine. like how can they? How you don't get much trust, do you?
Now, that's all we have time for in this episode. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all for listening. If we wanted to find you guys elsewhere on the internet, where would we go, boys?
You can find me on YouTube at Rob Coxey.
You can find me on YouTube at Endash and on Twitch Endash_.
You can also find me on Twitch at GeordieWiz. And Brenda, where can we find you?
You can find me at onlyfans.com/JeordieWiz.
Wonderful. Okay, guys, thank you for listening. If you do want to tweet us any questions or any topics that we want to use for next episode, please feel free to tweet us at VGC Podcast. And yeah, we will see you next Tuesday. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.